ultra-liberal colleges really are collapsing. That's what we'll be talking about on today's video. Gang, this is no exaggeration or hyperbole. A number of articles have been written pointing out that our higher education system is currently fighting for its very life and losing. So we're going to take a look at the dire situation, particularly for small liberal arts colleges, which are predominantly liberal. We're going to look at some stats of college closings before the coronavirus and why we see the closings of more and more of these colleges as just more indicators that we are indeed entering into a new conservative age. You're going to love it. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Wonderful to be here with you as always. If this is your first time here at this channel, we post 2 videos a day analyzing current events, analyze some super awesome conservative trends so you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. So if you haven't already done so, right, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It'd be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel. You're going to love this worldwide community where we daily celebrate together the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism, the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. Now, before we get into the collapse of so many of these, indoctrinating meccas of left-wing globalism, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's the Backup Solar Bank. In the midst of this whole emergency situation that we find ourselves in, one of the best things that you can invest in for your protection when the lights go out is what's called a solar power bank. It's a backup power bank that's powered by the sun. It allows you to charge up to 2 devices at once, and you'll never have to waste money on batteries again. Think about that, right? Now, limited supply lasts, and this is the very last chance to get yours at a discount before they sell out. So don't wait. Click on the link below right now and give you and your family the gift of power anywhere in the world. Click on the link below or visit backupsolarbank.com. Use promo code Turley15 to get 15% off. You'll be glad that you did. All right, USA Today has a fascinating article on the current demise of left-wing colleges and universities, particularly small liberal arts colleges, which are often the worst. The article notes that this is a season when small college campuses across the nation are supposed to be full of potential students, peering into classrooms, spending a night in the dorms, going to the faculty meetings, anything else involved with your customary college visits. I've done a couple with my daughters. It's actually a lot of fun. But instead, college campuses are, of course, empty as we speak. And so all of the college campus visits thus far have been virtual. They've been online, which may have a dramatic impact on enrollment in small liberal arts colleges across the nation. As another USA Today article notes, the simple fact is that the coronavirus has, in many respects, rendered the future of higher education in America increasingly uncertain. Now, of course, most classes are being held online currently. Dorms have been emptied. They may not open perhaps for the whole of next year since colleges simply don't have the medical facilities and resources that could handle another possible outbreak. In fact, if the requirement for social distancing remains in effect into the next year, college campuses may be nothing more than ghost towns for the foreseeable future. This has many academics and administrators frankly panicked, since we have to understand that liberal arts colleges were already in dire straits before this virus. I don't know if you knew this, but things have been so bad for small liberal arts colleges, the vast majority of which, of course, are radically infested with left-wing cultural Marxism. But things have been so bad that a Harvard Business School professor actually predicted that by the year 2030, okay, and keep in mind this was before the coronavirus, but by the year 2030, just a mere 10 years from now, the higher education bubble will completely burst, and as many as 50% of all colleges will close their doors permanently. Again, we're not talking, a century from now or 50 years from now. We're talking a mere 10 years. Now, this was coming from the Harvard business professor named Clayton Christensen. And he predicted, I think it was just in the last year or so, I think it was a 2019 prediction. He predicted that upwards of 50% of all colleges and universities will close or go bankrupt in the next decade. Christensen argued that virtually all colleges are using a business model that can't even remotely keep up with all the technological and telecommunicative innovations that we've seen over the last 10 years or so. And so in order to compete with these online digital innovations, colleges have had to discount their tuition on average by around 50%. Now, Any discount that goes past the 35% mark puts the college in a danger zone in terms of paying for its actual expenditures. So right before the coronavirus outbreak, 25% of private colleges were in the red. They were running deficit. They could not pay for their expenditures. Same with public colleges, by the way. Most public colleges have expenses that far outpace their revenue. And so colleges have begun to close their doors in record numbers. And again, this was all before the outbreak, okay? I don't know if you're familiar with this, but every year since 2016, dozens of colleges have collapsed. They've closed their doors permanently. Just to give you a sense of how significant this is. One of those colleges that just recently closed was Green Mountain College in Vermont. Now, Green Mountain College has been around for 135 years, okay? Now, of course, they bought into all the cultural Marxist nonsense over the course of those years, since the 1960s when cultural Marxism first made its way on the college campuses. And they became a full-blown environmental liberal arts college. But alas, as of last year, for the first time in 135 years, they did not open their doors. In the last few years, they're not alone. Over 20 private colleges across the country have closed their doors permanently. And even many more are barely hanging on. Take, for example, Hampshire College in Massachusetts. All right. Do you know about Hampshire College and the whole controversy surrounding it? How they all went, they got woke but went broke. It was hilarious. It all started back on November 8th, 2016. You know that date, one of the most wonderful dates in history. It's a date that rocked the globalist world order when Donald Trump was elected the 45th president of the United States, okay? So shortly after President Trump's election, if you can, of course you're going to believe it, Hampshire College students demanded that the college take down the American flag as protest from university property. The college actually freaking approved. The college allowed the American flag to be removed from its main flagpole to protest the election of Donald Trump. And according to the New York Times, the flag was subsequently burned. Well, that ignited the ire of a group of military veterans, God bless them, about 400 of which came out and held a protest at Hampshire College as a sign of solidarity and respect for the flag and for veterans. And they came out with their own American flags, waving and demonstrating their shock that a college would allow for such disrespect and disdain among their student body and faculty. Well, since then, the college has imploded in terms of enrollment. They've had to cut 82 positions from their 400-member payroll. And in January 2019, the Hampshire College president announced that the college was in such financial jeopardy that they wouldn't be admitting a freshman class for the fall of that year. Now, he did get some pushback on that, so the president relented, and he allowed for a freshman class of up to close to 80 students. But when all was said and done, the total incoming freshman class that enrolled turned out to be no more than a mere 15 students. That number for the fall 2009, 15 students, represented an astonishing 94% decrease from the 2018's freshman class. The overall enrollment plunged from 1,200 students to barely 600. But again, it's exemplative of what was happening to left-wing colleges all across the country. And in light of this, the Harvard business professor was predicting that a full 50% of these colleges would be permanently closing their doors in a matter of a decade. And that, of course, was all before the coronavirus. Now, all bets are off. We may be seeing a 50% shutdown in a matter of mere months at this point. Now, why is all of this so important? Well, it's important because scholars have looked into the question as to what makes people liberal, okay? Why do people buy into all of this cultural Marxist nonsense? And what scholars have found is a constant factor among all liberals is the fact that most liberals graduated from college. Now, notice I didn't say that most liberals were educated, right? That's precisely what liberals would say. They would say that, well, conservatives and Trump supporters and Brexiteers, they're basically all uneducated knuckle draggers. I've been told that. I've been told by liberals that what I believe has been decisively rejected by educated people, even though I'm a prof. I was one of the academics that was responsible for educating those people. So we need to be very, very clear here. It's college, not education per se, but going to college that seems to be making the most significant difference in terms of differentiating who's liberal and who's conservative. The studies are out on this, and what we're finding is that those who don't have a college degree are disproportionately more likely to consider themselves conservatives, nationalists, populists. The Voters Study Group found that white non-college voters comprised 2/3 of Trump's base in the primaries and 3/5 in the general election. Among those who claimed that they wanted to preserve their culture and their customs and their traditions and their love of country, 6 in 10 had actually left the educational system during or after high school, and 1 in 8, only 1 in 8 went to college, is coming from studies compiled by Roger Eatwell and Matthew Goodwin. Hillary Clinton lost among whites without degrees so badly that even if she received Obama's turnout among blacks, she still would have lost. During the primaries, Trump won more than 150 counties where at least 8 in 10 people were whites without degrees. Similarly, Brexit was supported by 74% of people without degrees. By contrast, 84% of Brits under the age of 34 with degrees voted to remain. You heard that with the EU, 84%. So what we're finding here is that people who attend or graduate from college are disproportionately more liberal in general. And if that's the case, and if more and more of these leftist indoctrination centers are closing down, we are indeed looking at another indicator that the world promises to become more and more conservative with each permanent closing of their cultural Marxist doors. Now, before you go, we just uploaded a great video. Macron's presidency is on the brink as France has begun to once again explode into riots. You're not going to believe it. It's amazing to say the least. So make sure to click on the link and I will see you over there. God bless.